Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well, and today we're going to do a bit of an update into Boohoo. So it is 4 days into 2022 and I've not done a Boohoo video yet, so I thought, you know what, we need to sort that out. So yeah, I'm going to give you a bit of an update for Boohoo, where I see Boohoo going in 2022 and what my expectations are as a shareholder, what I want to see from Boohoo deliver this year. Now I do think these are going to be very key for Boohoo to achieve a £3 in share price again, which I believe it can get there very quickly, and where I see Boohoo going to a £5 to an £8 in share price in the next 2 to 5 years. Now if you are a shareholder through 2021, you will know Boohoo is pretty much the sound that we made as shareholders last year. It wasn't a great year, the share price had a horrible year, and 2020 seems very far away now, where it was a pretty decent year for Boohoo and we were streaming for some very good profit in that share price, but 2021 saw the share price tank an absolute huge amount. Now Boohoo used to be my biggest UK holding in 2020. In 2021 that came S4 Capital, but towards the back end of 2021 when Boohoo was falling off a cliff, I personally looked at Boohoo and thought, okay, I need to now make this my biggest position again. So it is currently my biggest UK holding at the moment, and I looked at a company like Boohoo and I was just so impressed. You know, it's a company that has such an amazing growth. It has it has a history of growing growth at an absolutely fantastic rate. It's a company that has an amazing balance sheet, and the plans and the expectations going forward for Boohoo was one of those that kind of, you know, the ones that you want to back your best ideas. And I looked at Boohoo and thought, this is a quality company that's just lost so much value. I'm going to start picking this one up, and I backed that a huge amount and made it my biggest position. And going into 2022, these are my expectations. This is what I want to see Boohoo deliver going forward. So hope you enjoy the video. If you do, just hit that like button, that'd be absolutely amazing, and we'll take a look at what is the plan going forward. So first of all, the big thing, the top line, which is get back to 20 to 30% revenue growth. Now recently Boohoo has dropped out of this. They haven't been putting in 20 or 30% revenue growth last year. Now the reason why has been for a few reasons. One of them has been because, well, there's kind of two reasons down here which we're going to talk about a little bit later, which there has been two problems that have sort of suppressed the revenue growth, which is logistic costs. So some of the growth international has been a little bit weak, and that's because of logistic problems, and also the CV cases. You know, towards the back end of the year, a lot of plans were getting cancelled. If you're not going out as much, you're probably not going to order as many clothes, and obviously that's going to affect your revenue. So there's been two kind of external factors which has stopped Boohoo from growing as quick. But as well as that, if you went back to 2020, the growth was just absolutely bonkers, and because of that there's been a lot of demand pulled forward. Historically, Boohoo has grown 20 to 30% for many years, apart from 2020 when it absolutely exploded 50%. And I think that also caused a few bits of demand to come forward, and that's why 2021 was a bit of a year of just kind of balancing out from where we've had that massive expansion. Going forward though, I would like to see Boohoo go back to growing in that 20 to 30% range. 20-30% is an absolutely amazing amount of growth from Boohoo, and I think they are going to be able to achieve it. If they do achieve 20 to 30% growth every year as well, you also have to factor in how much of that will go to the profit, the bottom line, and will then make Boohoo even more profitable and also bring that valuation down going forward. And I think if you do factor in, say, a 20% revenue growth every year for Boohoo, that valuation and where you see the share price going, for me, is where I can easily see Boohoo already commanding a £3 share price by the end of the year. But even longer, that's where I believe Boohoo will go to a £5 to £8 stock when you start going 2 to 5 years down the line. Now I think one of the main drivers for Boohoo going forward for the revenue will be the Debenhams acquisition. Last year, Boohoo made the acquisition of Debenhams, and that has not really been launched fully yet. It was only towards the back end of last year that we actually saw the launch of Debenhams. Debenhams is a major brand. It already has a lot of online website traffic, which hasn't happened because they've only just relaunched the website. So that's started to come in now. So you got a lot of online traffic from Debenhams, and what that will allow you to do is expand past that age range that Boohoo has normally been in, which is that like younger bracket, to having basically now a site which will have will be able to use by a lot of age ranges. So you've got a good age range now for Boohoo to deliver to, and the expansion as well, now that Boohoo will expand to not just being a clothing company, but they will also become a beauty company as well. And I think that is really interesting that they've now got them two income streams going on. So that is a really good expansion from Boohoo, and I think that Debenhams acquisition will be the driver for revenue going forward into 2022, and I'm really excited to see how much numbers that brings in for Boohoo going forward. So that's my first expectation, is to see Boohoo start delivering back on their revenue growth side of it. The next thing, and I think this will be the key driver if we see £3 or not this year in the share price, will be to see Boohoo go back to putting some decent profit in, and that will be somewhere between the 75 million to the 100 million amount of profit. Now I don't think they'll achieve 100 million because of some of these problems here that are still overhanging them, but if we do set ourselves up into a position where maybe we could achieve 100 million profit towards the back end of the year, if we're putting in numbers which would suggest we would be able to get 100 million profit, and then when we enter 2023, potentially then we enter the territory where we could put in 100 million profit, that then starts putting a lot of the metrics and the valuations of Boohoo at very cheap ratios, which would be very interesting. But if we can get to 75 million, that will be impressive as well. Now the big thing is, once again, I don't know how achievable this is, because it depends how long these problems overhang them, but if we can get to 75 million profit in 2022, then the valuations on Boohoo seem very cheap, and then I would expect this to go up to a £3 stock. Now that's not guaranteed, we do not know what every investor out there is what they would think, but I would expect them to kind of go down that range, and if they can get there with resolving these problems, that will be achievable. And then also when you factor in another 20-30% revenue growth, obviously then that will help some more money as well go to the bottom line. Now to do these two things, there's two things that stand in Boohoo's way, and these two things have actually really been the cause of why Boohoo had such a bad 2021. Now I've got to say, the big things here is these two problems aren't anything to do with the business. This is the big thing, and this is why I'm also really bullish on it. The share price drop and the cause for Boohoo to lose over half its valuation is nothing to do with the business. The business has been affected, but the business has been affected by things outside the company. The business itself is still doing very well. Once you resolve some of these issues, then the company should go back to doing very well. Now the two problems that Boohoo has been hit with are problems that you will hear a lot of companies talk about, and the first one is logistics. So there's two problems that you have with logistics here. First of all, the costs to transport goods is going up a huge amount. When the costs are going up, that obviously affects your profit, and we've seen profit go down in Boohoo. So what we are seeing at the moment is the cost of shipping is starting to flatline. In fact, it's actually starting to decrease. If it can decrease even more, that would be really good, and obviously that would lead to more profit. So that's something to keep an eye on. The other problem that you had is that also the shipping times increased, so getting goods to different countries was also a problem. We saw this with Boohoo. Boohoo were not able to get their goods out to Europe and to the US quick enough, and that caused a big problem on the profit and the sales there as well. So what we need to see is the logistics side kind of calm down, which once again isn't a Boohoo issue. This is going on with every company out here, is the logistics costs to kind of come down in value, and also the time to deliver these products come down, and that will solve one of the issues. I think that will be resolved this year. The other one is the CV cases. Now obviously at the moment this is probably the worst that it could be at right now, because as we know, CV cases are very high. If CV cases are very high, we will see lockdowns in certain countries, and in general we'll see people not going out as much or cancelling plans. If people aren't going out, they're probably ordering less clothes, because if you're going out somewhere, people tend to think, oh, I'll treat myself to a new piece of clothing to go out in, and people will shop more and more for clothes. If they aren't going out as much, that will not happen. So we need CV cases to obviously come down, and if the cases are going down, people are going to go out more and events will happen. Now obviously at the moment this is not playing out like this, so this could be the one that takes a little bit longer to be resolved, but nevertheless I do think we will have that happening at some point, unless anything new variant or something comes out. That should be resolved, but that is probably the one that is overhanging a little bit more. But I do think that generally people are getting a bit more kind of, even though cases are very high, I think people are generally kind of starting to go out and do things even though they are high at the moment. So yeah, even though that's kind of like not a resolved problem, I think it is they could kind of get away with that a little bit, but it generally could see some effect in the numbers. And if that does cause some effect in the numbers, maybe these numbers don't happen. That's the big thing, but we'll see. So going into 2022, I think Boohoo has the chance to get back up to a £3 share price. I think to get back to a £3 share price, it does need to get back to decent revenue growth. As well as that, it does need to go back to doing some decent amount of profit. Like I said, these are the two factors that are the two problems that are overhanging it. It is funny that these are two problems that aren't even anything to do with Boohoo. But yeah, hopefully these are resolved, and I think they will be resolved in the next 6 months, and then the profit and revenue come in, and that will guide Boohoo to have a pretty good 2022. So that's basically what I'm looking out for Boohoo to do this year going forward. And like I say, if they do deliver that, I'll be a very happy shareholder, and I would expect the share price to start moving back in the right direction as that happens. We'll have a bit more of a clear idea when Boohoo update us. I think it's February time with some of the financials, and yeah, we'll have a good idea there what to expect. But that's what I'm kind of looking at going forward. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. If you are a Boohoo shareholder, which I know a lot of you guys are that watch my videos, hope it was a useful video. I needed to get a Boohoo video for 2022, so here we go. So hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button if you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you next video.